Um, so this is my video response to oh, big freeze. Why hippies aren't very much liked. My credentials, I guess, are my hair. I get called hippie a lot. I'm from the right era. You know, I grew up in the '60s, and so I was there with the original hippies. There's two parts to, you know, hippies were maligned in their day, but there was certain things you couldn't take away from them. They were pacifists, they were generally artists, they were generally idealistic, they were generally passionate, generally virtuous people. You know, they could live a communal life. They were generally unselfish, vegetarians often. They cared about people. You know, I guess John Lennon would be a good example of a hippie, and he could be annoying. You know, hippies could be irritating because they were nonconformist, and they got into people's faces about it, and you know, and that's the price you pay when you're, you know, fighting a status quo. And in their day, they were fighting a very rigid, you know, the 40s and 50s were a really repressed time, and so they were fighting. You know, there was a draft and a war, and so that also created an environment conducive to creating nonconformists. But yeah, it's like any other stereotype. It's just, there's no point in it. I mean, you're not gonna be able to classify all hippies. You know, you just take some norm and decide, well, that's how we're going to define what a hippie is. And so, you know, you have to be, you know, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, or you're not a hippie. I mean, I don't know what the standard is. But, and so there'll be all kinds of variants in that description. And I guess now hippies are, you know, during their day, you know, there was just you know, the communists, you know, hippies were communists. It wasn't a fair argument, but that was basically the argument. And so now, you know, because hippies would still be generally non-materialistic, you know, looking for something more meaningful in life, that isn't bullshit, you know, that isn't silly religion or some other nonsense. The new vogue is, yeah, selfishness and materialism. You know, I mean, you know, in the hippie era, it would be hard to imagine a Paris Hilton being an icon of any kind. You know, because it would be exactly what they were against. It was this materialism and this frivolous and silly kind of existence. So that's, you know, so they're maligned now because the culture basically views hippies as some kind of, they're silly people because they believe in something more than a bigger and better house and a shinier car and, you know, fancier cell phone or whatever else people live for nowadays. And so it's a very, you know, it's just it's a culture clash. And so that's, you know, the majority is basically reverted to that, you know, 1950s standard, and you know, with you know, a few piercings and whatnot. But you know, basically that's the morality and the ethics, and hippies are just they're still just a remnant of you know, a notion of a more idealistic world that people just don't want to, they just don't care about. You know, they got theirs, and that's all that matters. And it's, you know, just look at the way we're looking at the world now as a culture. I mean, people are just, you know, we're fighting wars with the towel heads and the what, it's stupid. So there's really no point. So whatever. So yeah, if you're a hippie, you're going to get maligned. That's just life, because but it doesn't matter, because you're being maligned by assholes, so you should expect it. But that's how I would view it anyway. It doesn't mean anything.